a.m. and we'll go straight to the dailies, the splash on the newspapers. Don, take us through.
Yeah, on the Standard that today they are saying talks hit turbulence. That the writing of the final report by Ruto and Raila teams fly into headwinds after the groups clashed over proposals to cut the costs of living, especially fuel related taxes and the house levy, with some Azimio members staging a walkout as the committee took a break from further consultations. That's on page 4. And then we had some major issues. Maybe the teams Raila and Ruto are clashing over. We have Raila. They are saying that I've been silent from commenting on the cost of living crisis facing Kenyans, to give time to bipartisan talks outcome. We'll give directions after the talks. And then the side of Ruto is saying that I salute the courage and the participation of our fellow leaders who have embraced national dialogue, and encourage all of us to keep up the noble work of bringing Kenyans together. That one was on the side of the Standard. The state of bipartisan talk, you can see there the cost of living talks deadlock as a committee whose mandate expires on Friday next week disagree on some of the proposals to tackle the cost of living. And then we have the timelines. Their worries comes less than a week after the committee concluded its talks and announced that it had reached a consensus on all 5 issues. And then we have seeking advice. Yesterday, the committee adjourned to report writing session for further consultations, including with Treasury CS next Wednesday. Assurance, speaking after the closed door meeting yesterday to co-chairs Kimani Chungwa and Kalonzo Musyoka, assured the public that talks are progressing steadily. That's on the Standard. Let's go to the next paper. We have Taifa Leo. Taifa Leo are saying Kimeumana Tena. Just about bipartisan talks still. And we have the People's Daily, why it will be hard to host governors. I think on the issue of the hosting of governors, we saw yesterday there was a fresh motion to the Meru County Assembly to impeach Governor Kawira Mwangaza. We'll talk about that later. And then down there they're saying hard road to impeachment. Days after Meru MCAs sought to kick out Kawira, they and others are of like mind will find the going tough if new bill proposed by Kiambu Senator is passed into law. That story on page 7. You'll get your copy there and maybe find out what the content is all about. And then we have on top there, Raila will fight bid to charge fees for IDs. Yeah, that was yesterday during his meeting with the men of God, Pale Westlands. And then we have on the Star, they're saying security dose exposes cost of Azimio protests. And then down there, they're saying Kenya could have lost nearly 50 billion shillings between March and July. That's on page 4 and 5 to 5. And then down there, we have stalemate. Ruto Raila talks on verge of collapse, still on the bipartisan talks. And we can go to the next. The Daily Nation says Raila move jolts bipartisan talks. And then they say a report writing retreat by members of the National Dialogue Committee ended prematurely yesterday after the opposition side introduced fresh demands, including the scrapping of housing levy, reduction of VAT on petroleum products and zero rating of basic food items, but the government side refused to budge. Yeah, so still on the, that one is still on the bipartisan talks. What do you think?
Well, according to the dailies that you've just gone through, clearly there is a stalemate between the two teams that had gone for this bipartisan talks. That is the opposition team and the government team, the national dialogue team. And the last time they reiterated that they were on a retreat to write a report after months of negotiations. We saw in the past that the first bipartisan talk that was fronted by the president and Raila, it did not bear any fruit because the members who were present at the time, people like the MP of Rarieda, the Otiende Amolo, he was on record saying that the bipartisan talks were very unfruitful because the parties on the other side were unwilling to actually engage with them and bring the crucial issues that are majorly affecting Kenyans. So they brought up things that were not really a priority to the Kenyan people, and thereby, having seen that these people were not serious at all, they just wanted to, time cloaking and moving forward without any serious thing being done. So they decided to call it off. So Raila called it off, and then again we have this second bipartisan talks, of which we have seen a lot of progress because it has been televised by the media stations, both digital and mainstream media, whereby we have seen even experts, economic experts, coming on board to give their views on how the economy should be streamlined. We have seen members who were in the IEBC last year come to testify and tell the Kenyans what happened so that there was a split between the IEBC commissioners. There were 7 in total, but there was a split that led to a stalemate. But then again, Ruto was announced the president. So there are so many things that have happened. We have seen the people from the Lands Commission, people from the department, the government agencies coming to talk to the National Dialogue Committee then, and to tell them the way forward for this country.
Yeah.
And so many government agencies and other interested parties who want to see this bipartisan talk succeed, they came to give their views. And now, as now they are retreating back to write the report, before even today, we have had sentiments from leaders in the ODM party, the opposition, saying that if the cost of living, the issue of the cost of living is not addressed, if the issue of zero rating food items, food supplies is not addressed, if the issue of the cost of fuel is not addressed, if the issue of the IEBC is not addressed, then there is no deal on the table. They will not support it.
Yeah. Right now, before we proceed, we can listen into what the bipartisan leaders, that is Kimani Chungwa and Kalonzo Musyoka, had to say about their reports yesterday after meeting and speaking to the media. Yeah, let's listen in.
Cost of living.
Well, we made quite some good progress, not just on the question of cost of living, but on a number of the issues, the 5 agenda items and other issues that Kenyans raised. We have had very extensive discussions and deliberations on the issues touching on the cost of living. and agreed on a number of things, but we have also found need to make further consultations, and that's why we asked for timeout to make further consultations, principally with the National Treasury, and we shall be recalling the Cabinet Secretary in charge of the National Treasury to join us when we reconvene next week on Wednesday, by which time we expect also to have a draft report to consider as we settle on the small issues that we are here to agree on. You see, there are proposals on the table, principally those that touch on taxation, and something like the housing fund, which also falls within that ambit. And it's those issues that we want to engage the National Treasury further on before we are able to make a final determination on the way forward.
Excellency, your take on the cost of living, the progress from the housing side?
It's not my take, it's a committee's take. we have asked for further consultations, as Honorable Kimeumana said, and we're pretty much on course. It is important that we hear from Treasury, and that is where they should help us crack that issue, because at the end of the day, they are the ones who collect the revenue. They are the ones who dispense, of course, service government programs, and so at this time we all know the country is crying out for help. So the cost of living matter, we said we decided to confront it head on. Okay, that's why we have asked for further consultations. Yeah, and it is very normal in discussions of this type, in serious negotiations, for people to say, hey, let's consult our seniors or whatever, as the case may be. Not to say we do not have full mandate, we have full mandate. This is why we are able to tell you that we are convening on Wednesday, the 22nd, for 1 hour with Professor Ndungu, and we hope he can help us crack that issue of the cost of living. Yeah.
So when can we expect the report?
It must be by when?
By 26th, yeah. The committee has a timeline of up to the 26th. So by the end of next week, we should have finished with our report. But just to give comfort to the country that the progress we have made and the need for further consultations is on the basis that we want to make recommendations, especially on the matter of the cost of living, some that are immediate, others that are medium term, and some that are far-reaching long-term interventions, both administrative, policy, and legislative. And therefore, that's why we are not able to resolve these issues immediately. We have agreed on a number of things in the immediate. There are some we have agreed on the medium term, some on the long term, but also cutting across the immediate, medium term, and long term. There are some that we need further consultations. Yeah.
Finally, we've listened to Imani Ichung'wah, the principals of the National Dialogue Committee. Imani Ichung'wah is the majority leader for the UDA party, and Kalonzo Musyoka, who is an Azimio principal Wiper party leader, just expressing their sentiments there on the state of the bipartisan talks. And from what we've heard, they are saying that, according to Imani Ichung'wah, they have agreed on a number of issues, that some are medium, others are long term, and there are some issues there that need further consultations, and that one of them is the cost of living, and also the house of levy is on that issue. So therefore, from what I'm getting from the conversation that is going on, is that the deal breaker to this report will be the cost of living.
Yeah.
And we are aware that the opposition team are under firm instruction that they should not append their signatures to the report if it does not have a substantive way of addressing the cost of living. Yesterday, when Raila Amolo Odinga went in Westlands to visit the religious leaders and maybe have a talk, most of the members of the Azimio Party coalition, aka Edwin Sifuna, the senator for Nairobi, was very vocal about that issue, and he said that Kalonzo Musyoka, everybody from the bipartisan talks in the opposition side, if you do not address the issue of unga, hata usijaribu, don't even waste your time. Make sure that the issue of the cost of living is addressed. And most of the people in the ODM, not only ODM, but the opposition side, they lauded that issue, that the cost of living has to come down, because actually the Kenyans on the ground are suffering. And so we've also heard from Imani Ichung'wah. He has said that, so of course there is a stalemate, but I think that there is I can sense a notion of political goodwill from both sides, whereby Imani Ichung'wah has said that they are going to extend their consultations. They need to go to the National Treasury. So they need to see the CS for National Treasury for further consultation and see how they can address the issue of the cost of living in matters the cost of fuel, in matters zero rating the food items, in matters to consult about the house levy. Is it really necessary? And maybe on the issue of the house levy, they need to make it clear that money that will be taxed from the common mwananchi, from the taxpayers, the house levy, how is it going to be channeled in a manner that it will actually bring development and it will actually stabilize the economy, and at the same time ensure that there is infrastructure that is being brought to light in matters to do with the use of the taxpayers' money, because so many people are complaining that Ruto has increased tax, but what is he doing to increase the tax base for the Kenyan people, especially those who are in the bottom of the pyramid? Don?
Yeah, we have a comment from one of our viewer anasema wawili wamekula wakashiba. I think the person is referring to Kimani Ichung'wah and Kalonzo Musyoka. That is Boke James anasema hawa wawili wamekula wameshiba. So me on my side, there's that issue that Raila was stressing about for the past several months about now the servers. Tukusikia kama imekuwa mentioned how they agreed it will be watafanya.
Was it really mentioned? What I heard, what I saw about the issue being addressed in the bipartisan talks was actually the IEBC, the former IEBC commissioners who were present during the 2022 elections, who participated. They were brought to the panel, and we saw anaitwa nani? This lady, she was on Cherera. Yeah, she was overseas, and she gave her statement, and she offered, and she gave these sentiments that her life was actually in danger simply because she stood her ground. And she, even at the time during the bipartisan talks, and she was giving a statement, she was like, she was mentally tortured by what she had gone through as a result of her standing her ground. But she maintained that this issue of IEBC is very sensitive. It's sensitive, and there needs to be honesty from both sides of the divide. There needs to be honesty, there needs to be transparency, there needs to be true political goodwill from both sides, so as to be able to address this issue, because not everybody in Kenya voted for Ruto. It is only 7 million people who voted for Ruto. What about the other people who did not choose to, register for votes? What about the other half that voted for the opposition? So you see, Ruto is supposed to bring unity. He's supposed to be a symbol of national unity. But the rhetoric that they are appending out there, especially the deputy president, Gachagua, he is not helping. So apart from that, I don't think, maybe there's something that is going on. Maybe they are doing something about it, but it has not been so vocal.
Because I think one of the one of the items from Azimio side was opening the servers and maybe considering the return of the Cherera 4 into the IEBC. So maybe they have agreed on that, and maybe they don't want to make it public unless until maybe they agree on the remaining issues on the cost of living. Yeah, majorly. So on my side, I still doubt, because I don't know if maybe we should be positive that they will be agreeing on major issues, because on my side I think there is a scheme maybe to buy time. Understand?
To buy time. Kalonzo Musyoka is there.
I'm saying now.
Wandai is there.
Yeah, now on the government side, because of course, as much as maybe as me as representative and on the bipartisan talks, there were those major issues about now. Now it's the cost of living, and then the IBC opening of the servers. If indeed you know that maybe if you are sure that you won an election, it will be easier maybe for Ruto to consider opening the servers, and maybe they'll be able to scrutinize. And maybe, right now, if he is not sure, I don't think it will be opened.
He's not sure of what? You're saying that Ruto is not sure that he won.
I'm saying if he's not sure, because let's say you are in you are three people, three friends, and then there's a phone that imepotea hapo katikati. If I ask, maybe my phone is lost and I need to search you, the two of you understand? I have to search myself so that to boost that trust among nini tukiwa watatu, understand? So I think if nikianza kusearch mtu mmoja amekubali na mwingine amekataa, what will that entail? Even hata kama anasema jaiba, una understand, it will be how can I put it? Ukikata ni kusearch kwa mfuko yako kama umenineta, kama hujaiba, I'll just kwa mind yangu nitakuwa ni kama wewe ndio umeiba. Unaenda hata kama hujaiba na utaki ni kusearch.
So it's already 1 year into the government and now you want to.
So what I'm saying, because that was one of the items that Azimio presented on the bipartisan talks. You understand? So that one so far has not come out clear.
Yeah, it is not clear. That one we
clear.
Can agree. It is not yet clear what are some of the interventions they have offered in matters to do with the IEBC and elections.
Yeah,
and transparency and all that.
As much as they were saying that maybe that issue is not like major, because right now we are still waiting for another election in 2027, and people need to be sure, like if they go to an election, there will hakutakuwa na tension. There will be no need of placing choir and trying to cool down people.
It was a good strategy though.
Of course it was, but for a politically matured company, a country, it is not should it happen, you understand? As much as there has been an history of election violence at Kaizo, I think it will be more helpful to try and educate people about now violence and the like it will be more helpful kwa watu ukiwafunza like what comes ama the dangers of election violence, the importance of being united, and trying to convince people that after election there is life to Kaizo, rather than waiting for the last minute na another kuimbia watu bomas. You understand? As much as God anasema like we should praise him times za shida, pia times zenye tuko poa, we need still to pray to him, na pia tutafute other means, because ametupatia wisdom as a country, na pia tuko na church, tuko na makanisa ambazo zinatuombea. So I think it will be helpful kwa pia wasolve issue ya mambo na IBC, so that 2027 and other elections years will be sure of what's happening kwa ground. Sindio?
Okay, so Great sentiments there from Dawn. Well, I think that there just needs to be, I think both sides of the party just need to be honest. I really insist on honesty because they need to be purely honest on what actually happened, because something happened but then it was swept under the carpet. Kenyans want to know what really happened during that span. You remember that day actually, before even the day of the announcement, the proclamation of the electoral results by the then IEBC commissioner Chebukati. We could see actually the 7 commissioners taking turns to announce the results from different parts of the country, constituencies. And that was the basis why even the Supreme Court did not understand why the 7 commissioners were involved in actually announcing the results from different parts of the country. And then in the last day, they all of a sudden decide to split into 4-3 ratio. And then again, everything that happened, the statements at Serena, where Cherera was detailing that the last part of the counting, was where the problem was. And it seemed as if the Supreme Court called it as hot air. So I think there needs to be a very, very robust and honest conversation around this. This is a very, very sensitive matter. If this issue is not handled carefully, with a lot of honesty, with a lot of transparency, with a lot of political goodwill, then this country will drown, because siasa mbaya ni maisha mbaya.
On the same of issue of cost of living, during when President Ruto was welcoming Ukraine president here in Kenya, you remember the issues that Uhuru Kenyatta used to raise about what's the cost of high cost of living. Ruto still back then Ruto alikuwa anapinga sana, akisema why Ukraine cannot be an excuse of the high cost of living.
I remember.
And we see last during the visit by Ukraine, not Ukraine president, but by Romanian president, that is Klaus. He said that he repeated the same thing that Uhuru was repeating, that during that time of his reign. So let's listen into that before we proceed.
Dire situation in the East Africa and in the whole region of Africa, because 3 things have happened. Number 1, commodity prices have escalated because of the war, whether you're talking about fertilizer, whether you're talking about grains, and as a result of the war, we have a serious situation of escalating prices of food items. And that has resulted in higher costs of living in our continent, with very detrimental effects on populations, on people, especially those that are vulnerable. And as a result, it has led to a second thing, that we are now spending more money in supporting communities, supporting the agricultural sector. We're investing more money in subsidizing fertilizer for food production, fertilizer that is already very high in costs. And that is why, as a continent, we believe in a peaceful resolution of these issues and an early engagement to resolve the conflict is a most desired outcome for those of us from this region. It is the reason why we believe in a rules-based world, We believe in the Charter of the UN that respects the territorial integrity of countries and that believes that aggression against any country globally is aggression against all countries. And we're looking forward to an early and speedy resolution of the conflict in Ukraine, as we do in Gaza and as we do in the rest of the conflicts that we have in our own continent. Thank you very much.
Interesting sentiments from the president. He just said that that the cost of living is as a result of the war in Ukraine. And I actually remember during his campaigns that you remember during the campaigns whereby they're saying that the handshake government, and Raila was actually being supported by the government of Uhuru to the road to presidency. And when Raila was being interviewed by different media, mainstream media, he actually brought out the issue of the war of Ukraine as one of the reasons why the food prices have gone up, the cost of living has gone up. But when Ruto was actually being asked this question, and he said this is complete nonsense. I remember that clip very well. He said this is complete nonsense. So for what I can get from that actually is that this man called President Ruto is actually very clever. He's a shrewd politician, and he knew what he was doing, and he needed to create a pathway for himself to get into the presidency so that he can actually do what he wanted to do. I think that was a strategy on his part to actually ensure that the Kenyan people discredit the government that was there then, to discredit the government. That was his strategy, to discredit the government that was there then, to paint and cast them in bad light, and to ensure that the votes are actually geared towards his manifesto, which was drawn to the people who are in the bottom of the economic pyramid,
Sure.
those who are living under $1 a day, and maybe those who are the border people, the mamamboga people, and the people who are just living from hand to mouth. And so he appealed to the common mwananchi, I could say the Wanjiko. But then again, 1 year later into his government, see the bottom-up economic agenda, is it really working? I don't think that what he said commensurates with what is happening on the ground. Talk about the house levy, talk about the cost of fuel, talk about raising up the cost of IDs, raising the cost of land rates, everything iko juu, electricity iko juu, kila kitu iko juu. Was this his idea? Or maybe he had a misconception that maybe if he got into the government, then he would try and stabilize the economy the best way he knew how, only to realize that the job ahead actually needed a lot, and a lot. It was unexpected for him.
According to me, I know Ruto knew. He knew from the word go that the war in Ukraine and those international crises during the times of Uhuru Kenyatta were the one responsible maybe for the high cost of living at that time.
Exactly.
He knew very well, because for a deputy president, you can't tell people that you don't know some things in the government. Having been served, hata kama unasema you are during the second term, you are not really a deputy president, you are just a deputy president by name but not by duties. You served as a deputy president during the first term very well before the 2017 elections, and you knew very well how the government works. So I don't think that I think it's the matter. Yes, maybe Kenyans are too maybe they are not informed much about issues to do with the government, because we see if a president goes outside Kenya and the deputy president remained in Kenya, that means that the deputy president is an acting president at that duration until the president comes back. We remember even there was a time Uhuru Kenyatta left Ruto in charge, and he gave him like instruments of power for those days that he was outside Kenya, like in front of cameras, not si chini ya maji. And that time Ruto was an acting president during the reign of Uhuru Kenyatta in that short period. So you cannot tell people that you don't like unajua is like let's say someone like maybe for example Wajakoya or the other person that was vying for presidency, that pastor. See, those people in some way they are not conversant with the way government runs, like in deeper the way Ruto knew because he was in government, you understand. So I think he just knew, and then this was just a scheme of playing around na mindset ya watu that na hiyo pia playing inaitwaje hiyo huruma, nataka watu wamuone huruma venye anateswa, venye kwa naenda chacha na lia. I think hiyo ilikuwa tu pia maybe ilimsaidia kuwin huruma ya watu in some way, hiyo watu wakachipi na wakamvotia, you understand. But now pia nitarudia tu kila siku that government is not an entertainment an entertainment firm that you run mambo na kiki. You just have to work for the people. You see, if of course people know that running a government is not easy, but try and come up na ways ya ease hiyo burden ya watu. And then hiyo issue ya mambo na, how can I put it, I think the IBC or the issue of IBC should be looked into vizuri so that people will go to the ballot wakiwa sure. See, unajua last election people walikuwa na hiyo issue na trust, no wonder greater percentage of people didn't vote. So if that thing happened like issue na election imehappen haijakuwa solved, chances of even more people not voting in 2027 is higher, because they will be like, even if we wake up and go and vote, our voice will not be heard, you understand. So I think they should look for ways to look into that matter na ikuwe solved in a good way so that people watu wakuwe na trust mingi na government na pia kuwa na trust na IBC wakienda kwa election.
Yeah, I think also the government needs to restore the confidence of the Kenyan people, because I remember very, very well after the immediate announcement of the results that President Ruto has actually won, so many guys cried on their various social media platforms, and others vowed that mimi nitajitoa kutoka kwa hii list ya IEBC, mimi mambo ya kuvote uko utaniona. So I think there needs to be a lot of a very, very robust civic education, and also there needs to be a public participation. They should open up the portals of public participation and maybe ask Kenyans what they feel, what do they think about the electoral policies, and what should be done to ensure that the policies around elections is streamlined to ensure that there is, first of all, there is transparency, there is accountability, there is fairness and credible elections whereby there are no contradictions, there are no lies whatsoever. Hakuna ukora, yani kusikwe na ukora wakati wa kupiga kura. Hiyo tu ndio Wakenya wanataka, hawataki ukora. Each and every person has the right to vote, universal suffrage. So hiyo vote nimeenda kusimama kwa line for hours, and then you're telling me that hiyo time yote nye nimesimama kwa line for hours doesn't count for anything. You know, there's so many Kenyans who are still bitter about the elections that happened last year. They haven't healed. Na wale ambao walikuwa wamepigia kura President Ruto, those people who voted for President Ruto are actually regretting. Why did we vote in this government? They said that they are going to, put us first and not put themselves first. But as we see, the tables have turned. Yeah. So I think the government needs to rethink its strategy. On the ground right now, they have lost the confidence of so many Kenyans. And even if you go to the polls right now, people are not happy because what is happening on the ground does not commensurate even slightly with what President Ruto spoke about on the State of the Nation address at the House, at the August House. Don't.
Okay, shifting gears, let's touch on the issues of Raila Odinga yesterday. Raila Odinga expressed his regrets kwa endorse Polycarp Igathe as the preferred Azimio candidate in the Nairobi gubernatorial race.
Very interesting.
So of course when we see back to tukirudi nyuma, there was this issue of now they were trying to find a candidate who is fit to counter Sakaja. Yeah, Sakaja in that race. Mm-hmm. And there was a choice between Polycarp Igathe and Tim Wanyonyi, but they ended up picking Polycarp Igathe. Polycarp Igathe was a Jubilee candidate, and yesterday we saw Raila Odinga express his regrets, like regret mbona alimchoose kama preferred candidate. Let's tusikize venye alikuwa anasema and then turudi.
Kuna silaha, kila kitu ni rahisi sana, inakuwa rahisi sana. Tukiwa na silaha tisi tunashinda. Mliona ile iliyopita, ile mimi nilipata kura 900, Uhuru akapata 500. Hii ya juzi hii nimepata 800 na kitu, Ruto akapata 500. Sivyo? Gavana hatukupata, sio kwa sababu hatukuwa na watu, lakini candidate tulikuwa naye ndio haikuwa sawa. Ni sababu maana yake kama sisi tumeshinda ni senator, tumeshinda women rep, tumeshinda president, tunashindwaje kwa nini kiti ya governor? Hatungeweza kushindwa, tungeshinda kwa mbali sana. Na mimi mwenyewe ninajuta kwa sababu mimi ndio niliambiwa niambie timu awache. Na timu akawa mungwana, akakubali. Kwanza silikuwa nasema awe running mate, lakini baadaye akaniambia mimi hapana. Nimefikiria hii maneno nikasema hapana, mimi nitarudi Westland. Nikubalia mimi nirudi wapi? Yakarudi Westland. Sasa yeye amerudi Westland, lakini sisi tunaangalia mbele huko. Sasa unajua ambaye aliokoka hahitaji nini? Injili. Aliokoka hahitaji injili. Mnakuja kunihubiria injili ati weke timu huko. Hii ni kazi bure sana. Mimi najua mambo ya timu. Mimi nasema tuangalie mbele. Kile mimi nataka kwanza vitu viwili. Nataka watu vijana wetu ambao wamehitimu umri ya miaka 18 wawe na vitambulisho na waende wachukue nini? Waende wachukue kura.
Raila Amolo Odinga expressing his regret on choosing Polycarp Igathe simply because Polycarp Igathe was not good. Polycarp Igathe, I understand, was a Jubilee candidate, yeah? And he was fronted by, I think, the then President Uhuru Kenyatta to be the gubernatorial candidate for Nairobi. And now we have heard that Raila Amolo Odinga had actually asked the one who is Timothy Wanyonyi to step down. And in his own words, akasema, na huyu Timothy akawa mungwana. He even asked Timothy to be the
The running mate.
the running mate, but Timothy refused, and he said that he wanted to go back to being a Westlands uh, a member of parliament. And so we see there that actually Polycarp Igathe was not actually good. Even when you look at the debate, how he was expressing himself, he did not really know the dynamics of how to run Nairobi County. He is a technocrat, yes, but he did not know the politics and the dynamics of running that county, of running Nairobi County, because Nairobi County needs both technocracy and at the same time you need to be in touch with what is happening on the ground in Nairobi, in the CBD, in areas around Nairobi. So many things that he was out of touch with. But we see also Azimio leader Raila Molo Odinga promising that next elections 2027, the next governor from the ODM party, of course, will be none other than Timothy Wanyonyi.
On my side, maybe they thought that their popularity, they'll take advantage of the popularity of Azimio party and then endorse any candidate for that seat. And then maybe that proved maybe Nairobi in some way they are mature, or maybe we can put it, maybe they are just trying, the Azimio followers were just dissatisfied with what the action of their action of picking Polycarp Igathe and replacing him with Tim Wanyonyi. And then on the other hand, we still we saw Polycarp Igathe was a running mate of was deputies to Mike Sonko back then, and maybe they assumed maybe he has knowledge on how to run a government, a county government.
Can't assume such things.
I think Polycarp Igathe should have just tried his best hapo kwa nini. He should have started with an MP so that he knows how. You see, politics and the way that said politics and being a technocrat, those are two different things. So the way you do politics, that's why we find even someone who is not learned as such is an MP. You understand? Because he knows the ways how people operate on the ground, how to approach issues on the ground, how to do things on the ground. You see, coming up with the last drama, the last minute's drama, the way he was doing on the during the election, like going to anapanda funda, anafagia streets, anafanya sijui nini. Those like people are just seeing him as a drama king. Na alikuwa anajaribu sana, people walikuwa wanaona tu he was just trying hard to please people, and people watu kwa namna tu ni kama just nini. It's like ni kama, how can I put it, ni kama mtoto wa Sonko ama mtoto mwenye a rich kid going to the ghetto and trying to do some things. Of course, the ghetto people will see that this person is mocking us. You see, it will take time for that to blend, especially if you are trying to do last minutes time. So I think he should have gone. He should have considered maybe gone to vie for a seat in Kasarani constituency or a constituency in Nairobi, so that jipime nguvu maybe in 2027 or 2032. That would have, according to me, that would have worked better side yake. And still on the same, Raila Odinga yesterday alikuwa anasema like people should quit, politicians should, especially those elected, should quit early politicking and work for the people. You see there, he roasted the senator for Kisumu there, saying that people, those elected people, the MCAs and the senators and the MPs are working hard. Maybe if a senator wants to be a governor, and then an MC wants to be an MP, but the person is barely 1 year in office, and there's nothing tangible that he has shown to the people. I think, well, let's listen into what he said about that, and then now we'll come back and continue about with that topic. So if you are watching us, you can let us know what you think about today's topic on the comment section. We are live at Lightcast TV Kenya Facebook page, and this recording will be live on will be also premiering on YouTube shortly after we have finished. Just share with us what you think. And if you're watching us and you're not a follower of Lightcast TV, please follow Lightcast TV on Facebook. And if you are not our subscriber on YouTube, please follow our YouTube channel or subscribe to our YouTube channel for more for more of our videos and broadcasts on politics and other stuff. So listening to what's
Ni mtu kwanza amesoma vizuri, anajua mambo ya sheria, anajua mambo ya uchumi. Mtu kama huyu anaweza kufanya kazi kubwa zaidi. Kwa hiyo mtu kama haya nataka apewe fursa. Lakini mimi naambia nyinyi sasa, sitataki kuanza mambo ya kampeni mapema. Juzi nilienda kule Kisumu. Nimekuta mtu ambaye alichaguliwa kama MCA. Yeye anatangaza ati mimi nataka kuwa mbunge. Mwaka mmoja limepita hajafanya kazi kama MCA. Watu hawajaona. Nikamwambia kazi yako ya MCA itakuuza wewe ukitaka kuwa mjumbe. Ngoja kwanza. Fanya kazi kama MCA mpaka 2006 uanze kampeni. Mwingine ni mjumbe. Hata hajaongea katika bunge, jina lake liko kwa Hansard. Anasema nataka kuwa gavana. Nataka kuwa gavana. Wewe hujafanya kazi kama mjumbe ionekane kama wewe unaweza. Unaanza kungangania mambo ya ugavana. Kwa sababu gani? Mwingine amechaguliwa kama senator. Hajafanya chochote. Anaenda kule Ikulu, ati mimi nataka kufanya na serikali ya Kenya kwanza. Nani? Wanasema nasema mimi nataka kuwa gavana. Hujafanya kazi kama senator. Sasa tunasema tukifanya namna hiyo tutaweka nchi katika hali ya kampeni miaka 5. Hakuna chochote kitaweza kufanyika. Mpaka mambo ipoe kwanza. Tuache mambo ya kuanza kampeni mapema. Tunajua fulani tunataka. Fulani tunataka. Lakini kwanza tujitayarishe. Si tujitayarisha? Tujitayarisha. Ukijua fulani ndio unajua tu, lakini hatutaki early campaign, maana yake inaleta tension mingi zaidi katika nchi. Hiyo ndio ningependa kusema.
So actually after that I was wondering, Raila was just before that he was campaigning for Tim Wanyonyi. It was in some way campaigning for Tim Wanyonyi in front of the constituents in Westlands, and then after that saying people should quit early campaigns, saying that it's creating tension among Kenyans and putting the country in an unnecessary political heat. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think he was right to quell the temperatures, the political temperatures, because right now we've just come from the campaign mode last year, 2022. We had campaigns, some of us campaigned for other different parties, Usawa kwa wote, others campaigned for Wiper, others campaigned for Azimio or UDA, all different parties. But right now, we already have a government in place. We already have leaders, MPs, women reps, governors in place, and they're supposed to, concentrate on development and making sure that Kenya comes back in the limelight in matters economy, because the economy of this country has hit a downturn. The recession is a reality, and therefore I think Raila Amolo Odinga was right. Well, him being a leader, him being a principal, he has been in the leadership for a very long time, and he actually knows how the political temperatures and the turbulence in matters to do with leadership in this country can go south. And so he was trying to tell his supporters that they need to chill. And he was also giving an advice to many people who are in the political establishment, especially those who are in the opposition side, and they're looking towards 2027, especially the MCAs who have just been voted in, the MPs who are the first timers in politics. They need to show their prowess through their work. They need to roll down their sleeves and get to work. They need to work so that their work on their constituencies can be seen. Roads have been built, water projects have been done. People on the ground are actually happy because of the development that has happened in their docket at the time when they were voted in vis-a-vis the time that they were not voted in. What are the changes? The manifesto that they brought to the fore. What are some of the things they have accomplished? What are the scorecard? Remember, right now, Kenyans are currently as woke. They are so woke, and they can actually see what the politicians are doing. They are not as ignorant as before, whereby a politician anaweza kuja tu na 50 bob during time ya campaign, ama anakupea sombili, ama anakupea thao, but then when it comes to that time where he is supposed to work and deliver the services that he offered from his manifesto, he is nowhere to be seen. And he has gone to build houses for his family, or he has gone into siphoning the money from the government into offshore accounts. Right now, the Kenyans are woke, and they are following up to see that the political establishment, whether be it in the opposition or in the government side, have fulfilled their promises. So I think it was good for Azimio Raila Odinga. I think it was a responsibility on his part to ensure that he made such a declaration, so that the politicians on both sides of the political divide will focus on ensuring that Kenyans actually see the development and stabilizing the economy and lowering or alleviating the high cost of living is done.
Okay. So I on my side I can say that the way Raila said, it will not make sense that you are elected to serve people as MCAs, because people saw you as maybe the best candidate for that job. So you go ask them for votes kwa mambo na, if you want to be MP, governor, don't know vitu kaa hizo. People trusted you with that seat, and it will be good to concentrate and serve the people, because they say that people will see what you've done, and from that they will be able to judge if currently you are an MCA, they will be able to judge if you can make a good MP. And maybe if you are currently a good MP, you can be able to do good as a governor. And maybe if people saw what the development and everything that you've brought to their constituency or their counties, people will see you as a potential president. So I think the elected leaders should focus to deliver to people, because right now people are tired of talks. Actually, according to the comments and everything that I see on social media, people are tired of talks, because kitambo though, you see politicians used to get away with talking and nothing they are doing. Now currently, I think with the rise of social media and everything, they'll be able to compare their previous speeches and what they are doing right now. So people are tired of speeches. People just want development, and out of that the development, they'll be able to see if you are suitable for that job. And then I remember the former Kibera, the former Kibera MP, the late Ken Okoth. He used to be a good MP, and he used to like work. You see, he was elected there to work. But you see, currently people, if a person manage kujenga kibanda ya pikipiki ya bodaboda, they say sponsored by. If a person, maybe an MP builds for you a house because maybe you are in need of a house, sponsored by. You see, now those you don't need to indicate like you are sponsored by. But I saw there was a skit by Njugush. He was supplying, like he was making a skit of maybe a politician supplying unga, supplying everything, and on those things, even on kwa ndo ya unga kuna picha ya politician, even kwa ndo ya chumvi kuna nini ya politician. So you don't need to like, of course there's that issue of PR, but don't do it in excess. You just do your work as an MP, do your work as an MCA, do your work as a governor. Na pia kuna this area kuna MCA fulani former MCA, during his time as MCA, he used to alikuwa tu hapo amezubaa, unaelewa. So alikuwa hapo anafanyia watu kazi, alikuwa anajibamba, alikuwa anafanya nini, so people got tired of him. And during now when we were approaching elections, ndio saa he wants to do things like put street lights, do roads, do what last minutes, trying to seduce the people to vote for him on the ballot. But people were aerials zilikuwa juu they dropped him, and after dropping him he was threatening people that he will atatung'oa hizo street lights, ataharibu hizo barabara, but akamwambia do what you have to do, but we are tired of you because we gave you a chance and you didn't use it well, you understand. So I think right now people are the way that we've said that people are woke. I think that people are now realizing the importance of good governance, other than just gimmicks and wordings. So I think we should be logging out now. For those people who have watched our broadcast today on Facebook, thank you very much. For those who watch on YouTube, are watching on YouTube, thank you very much for your support. You can leave us your comment on the topic that we've discussed today, and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you'll be watching us on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook if you're watching us on Facebook, and you can go to Twitter or X and follow us there, and TikTok. And I will be thankful. So let's see what will happen today, being the 16th November 2023 on a Thursday, and we'll give a commentary on the same tomorrow morning. Or what do you say?
Yeah, my name is Ninja Kolek.
And I am Martin. See you next day or tomorrow.
Bye.